Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, have an amazing design from an older issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts by Fox Chapel Publishing, and it's going to kick off Halloween designs for 2024. Really cool. I always love bringing Halloween designs to life over here on the platform for you guys. The design in question comes from the Fall 2023 issue 92 of the magazine, and we've already done some previous designs out of this magazine, including the Howlin' Wolf fretwork scene. We've done that last fall, if you guys would like to go back and check that one out. But today's design starts on page 31 and it's designed by Al Bagetta, so thank you, Al, for the amazing design in this magazine. It says Bats and Moon Puzzle. This sleek two-tone puzzle evokes the feel of a blustery autumn night. Indeed it does. I really think it encapsulates a fall and spooky autumn night for Halloween season. You have the traditional full moon here and then the flock of bats flying in front of it. And please keep in mind that this project stands of its own accord, so the material we use is going to play a key here. But the full-size design follows on the following page, and we've already got it photocopied, and you can see it's not a very big design here, and of course all of the bats are going to interlock with the pieces of the full moon, but as you can see, as I said, it does have a base. So we're going to be using a piece of poplar here that I've milled down to a little less than 3/4 inches in thickness. I think that would be great to support all of the interlocking pieces here. And I've always loved working with poplar because it scrolls exceptionally well over on the scroll saw, and I feel like the colors in the poplar will really look like a full moon once a clear coat is added to it when we get to the finishing stage. And as you can tell, the pattern is not attached to our material yet. I traditionally have it covered with clear packing tape. For cutting out puzzles on the scroll saw, you need to go a little bit different method with that, and this is what people traditionally do anyway when prepping scroll saw patterns. I will have to use the spray glue, the blue painter's tape method, to attach the pattern to make sure it doesn't peel away while we are scrolling all of the individual pieces. And once the pieces are released from the waste wood, I will drop them into my parts bin that'll be off to my side where I keep up with everything and do not lose them. And for cutting out puzzles on the scroll saw, you need to, of course, make sure your scroll saw is dialed in at a perfect 90 degrees. So before we even begin scrolling, we will double check everything with my 3D printed blade alignment jig here, and then we will begin to cutting. But we need to attach the pattern to the material, so let's move the camera, get the Halloween season started right, and get started. And over here on the workbench, we are going to take the blue painter's tape and attach it to our piece of poplar material here. And then we will take the spray glue and spray it on the back of our pattern and let that get tacky, and then we'll line up that bottom line with the piece of our material here. And then for added reassurance, I'll add clear packing tape over all of this. Of course, clear packing tape can help lubricate the scroll saw blade and reduce burn marks over on the scroll saw. And over at the scroll saw, before we get started, I will double check to make sure everything is dialed in at a perfect 90 degrees with my 3D printed blade alignment jig, and indeed it is. And now we are ready to begin scrolling. And for this puzzle, and with all puzzles you cut out, you begin with cutting out that outside perimeter line here. So it would just be like the final outside release cut on a standard scroll saw project. And there is a lot of sharp turns here and V-points, and you guys can see how I'm going into those and nipping away at them before turning the scroll saw blade and continuing on. With this being a puzzle and the material being a little bit thicker than the standard 1/4 inch material I like to use, I am of course taking my time and letting the blade do the work here. Of course, with a puzzle you do not want anything to warp or drift within the material because you want all of your pieces to be able to interlock. And for all of the scrolling on this project, I will be using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade, and it will cut through the poplar exceptionally well with minimal chip out. And we are almost done with this long continuous cut here, and we'll remove the piece. And now we can begin by releasing the individual puzzle pieces. This design really stuck out to me when I was thumbing through older issues of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazines by Fox Chapel Publishing, and I knew I would have to bring it to life to kick off the Halloween videos for 2024. And I'm just releasing all of the individual pieces here. And with puzzles, you want to make sure that lines flow and seem as smooth as possible. So that's why I am not cutting out individual pieces here, but cutting out batches of them to make sure all those lines flow nicely. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. But now that all the scrolling is done, we can head over to the workbench and begin peeling off the pattern and blue painter's tape. And this does take a little bit of time, but with the blue painter's tape, everything peels off kind of like a post-it note. And I won't show you guys peeling off all the patterns. It's kind of boring to show all of that. But then it will be time for sanding. And with all puzzles, I always opt to hand sand everything with a high grit Clean Spore Woodworking Shop sandpaper and my little palm sander here. And I'm just very smoothly sanding the front and back of both pieces of each puzzle piece, and then I'm putting them aside. And all of the bats I decided to stain a dark Minwax wood stain as opposed to just spray painting them black. I still wanted that natural grain and texture of the poplar to shine through once the puzzle was clear coated. But I will set all of these aside to dry, and then I opted to add a base. And this is not in the magazine, this is just something I wanted to do. And this is just a scrap piece of cherry material. And I'm just eyeballing everything here. And I will quickly sand this base here, and I'm just knocking off the sharp corners. And then we will glue the base of the puzzle piece to the base we've just made here. I thought these colors would complement each other. And that will be medium grade CA glue and activator I'm using. But then it will be time for a finish, and I'll give the puzzle several coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss for sealing and protection. And you can see I'm in the workshop well before sunrise. But after everything was dry to the touch, it was time to assemble the puzzle for the first time and get our visual of this spooky moon and bat puzzle for Halloween. And once the puzzle was fully assembled, the project was complete. And here we have the completed bat and moon puzzle, cut out completely over on the scroll saw with the exception of the base, which we of course cut out over on the table saw, and it finished up amazingly well with some crisp details in it. Thank you, Al Baghetto, for that amazing design from a previous issue of Scroll Saw Woodworking and Crafts magazine that I'll show you guys momentarily. It took me around 30 minutes to scroll this project out completely from start to finish, and with the nature of the interlocking puzzle pieces and the feature of a puzzle, you need to of course take your time and let the blade do the work and be as loyal as you can be to the cut line. I really think poplar material is an appropriate wood to use for this project, because I think once we added the Rust-Oleum clear gloss at the end, it really made those grains and textures shine through and really made the full moon that is the background there really pop and look like an autumn moon out in the harvest season. And then of course you have all the bats flying in front of it, and I stained those a dark Minwax wood stain as opposed to painting them black as they are in the magazine, to still allow the grains and textures of the poplar material to shine through. And the base is just a scrap piece of cherry that I had over in the scrap bin that I wanted to use up. And you totally have the option to not add a base like it's pictured in the magazine. I just wanted to go the extra mile and add one. But with the nature of the base, when it came time for the assembly, I couldn't assemble this puzzle in the traditional flat manner. I had to assemble it in kind of a three-dimensional manner, and and kind of stack it up like building blocks. And keep in mind, this piece is 3/4 inches in thickness, so or around that, so you can see how the pieces still want to kind of come apart. If you wanted to cut this out of a little bit thicker material, it would be a lot more sturdy. But for me, I'm going to probably always leave it assembled because it's ultimately going to live over on the scroll saw display wall so people can see, comment, and enjoy the piece. And during the fall and autumn season, of course, it's probably going to sit in a windowsill for some nice spooky vibes like that. But there's always display options and ways to do this project. I know this project can be kind of tedious to put together, and if you didn't want to go the puzzle route, you could go the segmented route, cut everything out, sand and shape everything, and glue it back together to where it's not even a puzzle. So once again, always options and versatility when it comes to scroll saw woodworking designs. But I'm really happy to add this to the Halloween collections. I know we've done a lot of spooky projects over here on the channel. Of course, Halloween is my favorite season, you know, to get to dress up and put smiles on faces and make memories. I'll show you guys once again the design that was featured in the magazine, and here is Al's version of it, again without the base, and then the bats are painted a nice jet black, and it still comes out amazingly well like that. And the issue in question, in case you guys want to go back in your archives and try this project out for yourselves, is Fall 2023, issue 92, packed with amazing and creative scroll saw woodworking designs. Always great issues to pick up when they become available. So really cool. I had a lot of fun in today's video and hope you guys picked up a tip or tidbit along the way. I'm holding it with both hands so none of the pieces fall apart, and it will set aside to dry completely overnight. And speaking of that, properly, you need to put a boiled linseed oil or some kind of Danish oil finish on a project like this, as opposed to the Rust-Oleum clear gloss. Rust-Oleum clear gloss is just what I have a plentiful supply of on hand, and that's what I used. And since I'm not going to be taking this project apart a lot, it was the appropriate finish to use in my opinion. But of course, a oil finish would be proper for cutting out puzzles over on the scroll saw. But once again, I had a lot of fun in today's video, and I hope you guys like watching me make this project. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.